On October 17th, members from the Colorado Supreme Court visited Mountain Vista. Many of the social studies classes watched as they resolved two cases while also speaking about how the court decides what the consequences will be.
It is this thing that they're doing where it's called Courts in the Community, and the Supreme Court wants to be a part of the community and have them be kind of associated with their decisions and kind of spur up some interest. So they go to different schools of petition, and they go to different schools to kind of get that support for the Supreme Court. Well, it's important to me because it's fascinating. It's not every day that you get a chance to go actually hear oral arguments on a case and see the justices and interact with the justices.
We spoke with Ms. Sturgeon, Mountain Vista's social worker, who had a big part in giving students the opportunity to watch a live court case and learn how they organized the investigation.
So years ago, I heard that the Colorado Court of Appeals was going to be at a school in Denver, George Washington High School. And I'd worked there in the past before I came here. And so kind of got the information and I was like, that's pretty cool. I want to go watch them. So I snuck over there, watched the Court of Appeals, and I thought, we need that here at Vista, and networked my way to the person that I needed to talk to in order to get the Court of Appeals here, which I was successful at doing. So they were here probably about 5 or 6 years ago. It was such an amazing experience. The kids loved it, and the teachers got positive feedback from the teachers. So I continued the conversation with John Sorsay, who I worked with, that is kind of our liaison for the courts, and said, how can we get the Colorado Supreme Court here? And the conversation started from there. However, it was probably several years in the making to have the Colorado Supreme Court here for various reasons. They only go out once or twice a year, and they kind of rotate, and so you just have to be very lucky to be on their list of rotating schools. And continue to have the conversation because of various reasons. I couldn't get them here last year, but we continued the conversation. I kept chasing the dream of getting them here, and finally got it finalized this past summer to have them come here for what happened last Tuesday. I would think it would benefit with all the classes, but unfortunately there's only so many people that can fit into the auditorium. So we really focused on the social studies classes, the government classes, the criminal justice classes, those kind of classes that kind of already talk about firsthand with what the law has to do with the subject that they're, talking about in class, and, they've been studying that. And so, unfortunately, we had to limit of who we could invite to come to the Supreme Court hearings on Tuesday because just of space. But every class could benefit from that because just like all of us, the Supreme Court, they're also citizens as well that have to follow the law as well. And so it impacts all of us. Yeah. And also I think it's important as far as understanding how the law works and what happens when it gets that far up to the courts. How does the process work? So it really can impact anybody. I do, just because it was such an amazing learning experience about how the courts work, the Court of Appeals works after the hearings were done within the auditorium. The students had an opportunity to ask the attorneys of both cases about the case and certain questions that they had about the case. And then after the whole hearings were done, the students were able to ask the actual Supreme Court about their process. About how they got into their position, just that kind of thing. And really, you'll find that every member on the Supreme Court, they're just human beings like you and me. They're not any powerful person. They just have a job that is very important that helps, with the rule of the land, so to speak. But I think it's important because it gives us a better understanding of how the law works and really how justice works. And that's really what it is. It's about finding justice. And so, it's having that conversation and opening up that conversation for everyone to hear about and to talk about. And also to realize that, one of the cases was about trees and justice for trees and that whole situation. So it's not just limited, but it's things that can happen and affect our everyday life that can become something that we want to look at and question for justice. Well, I think, first of all, to have a better understanding about how the courts work. And again, we just talked about how the law works and justice and that, and how justice is found and that kind of thing. And that as a society as a whole, I think we really do strive to have justice and equality for everyone. Also, I hope that it encourages individuals who have thought about law or, something of that nature as far as maybe a possible career. Maybe it's encouraged them to really look into it further after sitting through the hearings and gaining some more information about it. But if anything, everyone hopefully will have a better idea of how the process works. It just happened on Tuesday, so I've gotten a couple bit of feedback. There were some students that had the opportunity to actually sit and eat lunch with the justices, and I spoke very briefly with one student yesterday and said it was an amazing experience just to sit and talk with them about their journey and how they got to where they were and the position that they got in, and also the realization is that, again, they're all human just like us. So I haven't, again, gotten everyone's feedback because the auditorium was full of students, but overall I think it was very positive. Again, they were able to ask questions to both the attorneys and the justices, and there was a line full of kids that were eager to ask questions. And so hopefully, they felt like it was impactful and something that they can take away with them for years to come and played an impact on their lives in some way. So.
Do you think that like a learning event like this is better than one that they could have ever gotten in a classroom?
I think they both hold value. So you can't say one is better than the other. I think they both hold value for sure. But having hands-on and being able to actually speak with the Supreme Court, the Supreme Court could go individually in each individual classroom, but having the opportunity to actually speak with the Supreme Court, watch an actual hearing, and as it happens, because this was an actual hearing that took place. It wasn't like a reenactment. It was an actual hearing that took place within our auditorium. As they said at the beginning, we changed our auditorium into an actual court during that time. And so to have that and actually watch that experience is pretty dang cool. But so I don't know if you can weigh one out the other. I think they're both valuable, whether in the classroom or not.
Yeah.
So.
Would you ever have the Supreme Court back?
I would love to have the Supreme Court back, but we have to wait our time because, again, they rotate to different schools. And so other schools will have that opportunity just as we did. And so we just kind of have to wait out our time. It took us quite a while to get them here to begin with. And so I have a feeling it'll kind of take a little bit more time as well. But I know that we definitely made a good impression on the court, and so hopefully when they hear Mountain Vista again, they'll be like, yes, we definitely want to go back there because it's an amazing school and the students were amazing. So,
all right, good.
Thank you very much.